in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for race number 2 of the season, of the 4th season of the NNSCRA Pizza Hut X Series. Trucks are off this week. We'll see them next week at Las Vegas, but we're getting ready to go racing here today in Rio de Janeiro at the track known as the Emerson Fittipaldi, yeah, easy for me to say, the Emerson Fittipaldi Speedway here in Rio de Janeiro. This track brought about some great racing last season, so it's back on the schedule here for the Pizza Hut X Series drivers and tomorrow's Hershey's Cup Series drivers. And this is a track that really is, I think, more about handling than anything else, because it's a very difficult track to pass at. These drivers, they'll be starting off double file for the start of this race, but it won't take them long to get single file, and then it's just down to who's got the strongest car. And this is also one of those tracks where track position can be a key factor. So we'll see if these drivers here, they're starting up near the front, if this is going to be a good points day for them, and maybe if they'll be the ones that'll contend for the win. We also got to keep in mind, though, there could be pit strategy in today's race, because I'm expecting to see some pretty long green flag runs, which is anything but what we saw in the Daytona race 1 week ago. Starting on the pole position for today's race, getting his first Pizza Hut X Series pole of his career, is going to be G Sydnor, and he will start alongside of Seth Cole in the 66. Both of these drivers looking to kind of rebound from last week. There were a couple of drivers that had some decent runs, but for the most part, a lot of drivers finished out of the race at Daytona. Sydnor managed to finish in the 12th position, even though he was out of the race at the end of that event. So he's got an opportunity to move into the top 10 in points here today with a good finish. Seth Cole, on the other hand, got involved in, I believe, the first wreck that we had of the day at Daytona, finished in the 41st position, and that's where he comes into today's race in the points. So certainly looking early on this season to get a good finish to counter that poor result last week. D Shears, 9th in the point standings, rolls off from 3rd, and then behind him, Ashlyn Boyd, who finished out last week at Daytona in 35th. So you've got some drivers that are trying to continue on their consistent runs, and some drivers that are trying to bounce back from a horrible Daytona week. Canario comes in as the points leader, obviously with the victory, so we'll have to keep our eyes on the 6 and see how he does in this race following his Daytona victory last week. And without further ado, it is time to now go down trackside, and we're going to get those most famous words in motorsports so we can get to go racing here at Rio de Janeiro.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command is given. And for the first time this season, since there are now points, we can give you your top 10 in the points rundown here today, presented by Golden Corral. I was just quickly checking. I saw them kind of moving around there coming off pit road. I didn't know if somebody had an engine problem. Apparently it looks like they're all good to go. So Canario obviously comes into this race as the points leader with his win last week at Daytona. Second is Mark Davidson, Alex Gray third, Nathan Hudson fourth. Right now, rookies hold the top 4 spots in the point standings. A Baranauskas is currently 5th. 6th place is Angel Navarro. Quentin Moore is in 7th. Carson Gum 8th. D Shears 9th, and completing your top 10 right now would be Scott Roush. The defending winner of this race is not in this field. Noah Ponser was the winner at the very first Pizza Hut X Series race here 1 year ago. He's not in this field. He drove the number 28, and I don't think we have a number 28 in this field either. So we're going to have a brand new driver and a brand new number go to victory lane here in our second Pizza Hut X Series race at the Rio de Janeiro. And something that's putting a big smile on my face is frames are amazing here at this racetrack. Had to suffer through Daytona with horrible frame rate. Not going to have to deal with that here today. Here we go then. The Rio 200 is moments away from going green. We're just waiting on that flagman. And the green flag's in the air. We're underway here, Rio de Janeiro. Let's roll. Sydnor to the lead. D Shears using the inside line, going to very quickly move by Seth Cole for second. And you can see how quickly they got to single file back through about the top 6. This racetrack taking the place of Rockingham, UK last year when we came here to Rio, and one of the big reasons was because of the pit entry at Rio, or at Rockingham, UK. A lot of drivers had issues with that, and so we ended up coming to a track that's somewhat similar. This track is quite similar in dimensions, quite similar in the way that it races. I think maybe the one difference is at Rockingham, UK, they used to go double wide and 3 wide through these corners. I think this track's a little bit flatter, not as much banking to be able to do that. But I'll tell you what, we got a battle heating up here for the lead. D Shears tried about a lap ago to get to the inside of Garrett Sydnor, could not do it. And he still is all over the back bumper of the 24. Ashlyn Boyd right there, former winner from last season, former playoff contender from last season, as is D Shears actually. And Seth Cole is sliding currently into the 4th position. Rookie Steve Morgan currently scored in 5th place, and here comes Shears. Got to run this time into turn 1, and I think he'll have the inside advantage on the 24. And a very nice pass made by the Little Caesars Chevy Camaro out of Michael Norman Motorsports. D Shears with a win last year, which, if I recall correctly, was, I want to say, at Iowa. I might be incorrect in that. Double check to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it was Iowa. Trying to pick up what would be his 2nd career win. Still a long ways to go in this one, though, and Garrett Sydnor has kind of faded back a little. He hasn't been able to jump back up there and try taking the race lead back away from D Shears. So 7's got a very strong race car right now. He's the only one I've been seeing so far up in like this top 10 that's been making any passes. We've got a potential battle back here. Angel Navarro and A Baranauskas. This is for the 10th spot. Navarro gets a run there actually through turn 2. Not many drivers been able to get to the inside and continue that momentum off the corner onto the back straightaway, but looks like Navarro is one of those few, and he will now crack the top 10 as he will move by the number 2. Well, as soon as I say that, Baranauskas battles back on the top side. I think now here into 3 and 4, Navarro's going to make the pass, and indeed he does. The pass clears the Delta Airlines Chevrolet, so move him to the 10th position. A couple of drivers trying to combat poor finishes last week. Up here, you're looking at a couple of them right there, the 18 of Mason Wood and the 70 of Joshua Osborne. Mason Wood last week finished in the 33rd position, Osborne in the 31st position. And this is the point of the season where drivers that have a bad showing at Daytona want to get good runs in the following weeks, because you put it this way, right now, let's say Mason Wood finishes this day out in the 8th position, he could gain as much as, 12, 15 points in the standings. It is so easy to recover from a poor early performance if you get a good run early on in the season. You gain so many more points and so many more spots in the standings. A couple of teammates from ML Motorsports running up here currently in 6th and 7th. Alex Gray in the 6th position and Jessica Miles currently in 7th place. And not too far back is their other teammate Cody Lama. So pretty good day overall so far for the 3 Chevy Camaros. All 3 rookies. There's Cody. He just just actually made his way by A Baranauskas, and that was for the 11th spot. So Cody Llamas trying to crack the top 10 after 1 week removed from that wild ride that he took in the infield grass just off Daytona's turn 4. Move back up to the front though. We've had a change for second. Ashlyn Boyd has been able to get around Garrett Sydnor. Ashlyn Boyd's 2 wins last year came at Gateway and... Was Ashlyn just a one-time winner? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, he was a two-time winner. Okay, so what was the other one? Oh, Rockingham, North Carolina. Now, Rockingham, North Carolina is nowhere similar to this, but I guess you could kind of consider Gateway somewhat similar to this kind of a track. By the way, I mentioned I would look up where D Shears had his win at last year, and I was correct. It was indeed at Iowa. So Garrett Sydnor, who started on the pole and led the first couple of laps of this race, is now faded back to the 3rd position. So apparently that car must have been set up for maybe a short run. And we're starting to see now the difference between drivers that are set up for the short run and drivers that are set up for the long run. Believe it or not, we've only completed 7 laps. This track is pretty big. Takes them a while to get around here. And so there is still a long ways to go. We're only a 5th of the way through this race. And like I said, I'm almost certain we're going to end up seeing at some point these drivers have to start strategizing as far as green flag pit stops. And as far as I'm aware, pit road here is not a bear to get onto like it was at the Rockingham, UK. Find a battle on track here. This one's been somewhat heating up, but we really haven't seen Steve Morgan make any kind of move on Seth Cole, and as soon as I say that, now he's all over the left rear quarter panel trying to get to the inside of the M&M's Pirates of the Caribbean Chevy Camaro. Steve Morgan, of course, coming off the great season he had in the NRSL Winston Super Speedway Series, where he went to victory lane in Talladega and made it into the Final 4 to compete for the championship, eventually losing the championship to Eli Bright, but gave him some really good experience. Now, he wasn't able to apply a lot of that experience in last week's race at Daytona, getting caught up in a wreck and finishing out the day in the 19th position, but regardless, looking pretty good here. Currently running, I believe, the 2nd highest rookie in the 5th position. Sydnor currently the highest rookie in the field at this point in time. Chelsea Bowles, last year's runner-up in the championship standings, running right now behind Cody Llamas in the, I believe that'd be the 12th position. Chelsea Bowles, another driver last week that was unable to finish out the day at Daytona. Finished in the 39th position. So nice job of recovering here. Whoops, didn't mean to go to the pace car. There's Nathan Hudson. Now there's a couple of drivers that are running well in the point stands that are running well here right now. Alex Gray, D Shears, A Navarro, A Baranauskas, but you can also throw Nathan Hudson into the mix. Hudson had a rather damaged race car last week at Daytona, was able to soldier his way to a 4th place finish. And having a very decent outing right now in the number 11 Nike Ford Mustang for Wrigley Motorsports. Currently scored in the 13th position, so very good outing for a driver who last year lost his charter, finishing so far down in the point standings and kind of went into semi-retirement. Baranauskas has fallen back now. Saw her up as high as 10th place, she's now back to 14th, and now being hounded for that spot by Quentin Moore in the 89. Quentin spent a good portion of the Daytona race out in front. Finished the day out in the 7th position. Looking very good here today in that number 89 Chevy Camaro. Another driver right behind him that had a good outing at Daytona, having a good outing here. Actually, a couple of drivers. Carson Gum in the 99 finished out 8th at Daytona, and finishing 10th at Daytona right behind him is the 38 of C Roush. So we're starting to see a number of drivers that ran really well at Daytona, following it up with good runs here today at Rio de Janeiro. careful, almost a little contact there between Quentin Moore and A Baranauskas, as that is currently the battle, I believe, for the 14th position, and give it to Quentin Moore. The 2 car is fading back. The last 8 or so laps. Baranauskas has fallen from 10th, now back to the 15th position. Got a battle back here between 46 of K Ericsson and the 02 of B Braley. And I will mention that right behind them is the 3. I have been educated on how to pronounce Aubrey's name correctly. It is A Eisestein. So now that I know how to pronounce it, it's going to be a lot easier to be able to say the name. Ericsson was, of course, one of the drivers that finished top 5 in the championship standings last year. The charter that she gained went to Daniel Voiles. We'll see him taking part in tomorrow's Hershey's Cup Series race here from Rio. Phil Parker up here behind Scott Roush. He's currently in the 18th position. His teammate right now out in front in the 7 of D Shears. Phil Parker right now really the only other Michael Lauren Motorsports car up, I guess you could say, toward the front of the field, as we've had a change for third, or make that for 4th place. Steve Morgan did finally get around Seth Cole, and now he wants to get around G Sydnor for the 3rd position. So all of a sudden, that 60 is coming to life. And of course, last week, Roush Fenway Racing got their first win of the season with Ying Canario going to victory lane. Steve Morgan trying to make it 2 for 2 in the first 2 races of the season. Speaking of which, we haven't really gone back and tried to find our current points leader. As Morgan makes the pass for 3rd, Seth Cole tried to get to the inside for 4th, got really loose off that corner as you saw. Let's go back and try and find the 6 car. He's a long ways back. There he is. Last time by, he was scored in the 37th position, as you saw right there, that the 92 of Joshua Hyatt has retired out of this race. So not certain what's happened with him, but that's obviously really going to hurt him in the point standings. He was 40th last week at Daytona. He's going to finish 42nd here this week. But back here, a couple of drivers that are struggling. Points leader and the guy who came in 2nd in points just ahead of him, the 29 of Mark Davidson. Both not having decent outings right now here at Rio, and so they're going to really have to try and hope maybe for pit strategy to be able to come back. James Shelley back here, Christian Merrick Jr., Chris Dollerton, and Jay Jefferson. Right now it's about a 2-car battle for the top position. Separation between D Shears and Ashlyn Boyd about 4/10 of a second, maybe stretch to 5/10 this time, and then you got to go back about 8/10 before you get to the 3rd place car of Steve Morgan. And here's a battle. Alex Gray has been able to get by numerous cars, including Seth Cole. Now he's going for the 4th position on G Sydnor. Miles now as well, starting to hound Seth Cole. That would be for the 6th spot. Ray will take 4th place. Complete the pass. Steve Morgan appears to be closing in on Ashlyn Boyd quicker than Boyd is closing in on D Shears. So we may end up having a battle for 2nd take place sooner than we have a battle for the race lead. Currently, it is Chevy, Toyota, Ford, your top 3. Good representation by all 3 manufacturers up here at the front of the field. So they're just trying to hang on, I think, till we get to that potential round of green flag pit stops. He's been dropping like a rock in the last couple of laps, losing spots to Steve Morgan and Alex Gray. Morgan closing the gap very quickly on Ashlyn Boyd, so I believe this is the next battle we'll see, at least close to the front of the field. It's going on roughly about 4.5 behind D Shears, and if these two start to battle each other, that's going to allow Shears to probably open up his gap a little bit more. course, last season, we mentioned, had one win at Iowa. And amazingly enough, that was his only top 5 finish of the entire season. He did get 6 top 10s, but really, to be honest, despite that one trip to victory lane, it wasn't exactly a season to write home about. And out of the 12 championship drivers that made it into the chase, he finished 12th of those 12, so wasn't really much of a factor when he made it into the playoffs. Looking good here, though, as he has just about dominated this race ever since getting around Garrett Sydnor, and I think we're having pit stops. The pit stops begin, and it's just at the halfway point of this race. D Shears and Ashlyn Boyd are in. It looks like Charles Jackson up there on the top left of your screen is also bringing his number 55 to pit road. So the top 2 are the first ones to hit pit lane. That turns the lead over to rookie Steve Morgan. Had a good battle going on right there between Jessica Miles and Garrett Sydnor. That's currently now for the 3rd position. A couple of rookies going at it for the podium position. And now the question is, with them pitting just at the halfway point, does that mean that they're good to go on fuel? They're going to be like right borderline, I would think, if they can only make it 20 laps. But these drivers made it 21, so I think they're going to be okay. I think these drivers are all going to be good to go. Garrett Sydnor decides to stay out as just about everybody else is coming to pit road. So Sydnor trying to gain some track position. I saw Chris Dollerton decide to stay out back there, not certain who else. Cole Deaver, Kyle Langeland, Eli Bright, Justin Tucker, Zach Flickinger, Diego Yepez, William Brock, Quentin Moore all stayed out along with the 24 of Garrett Sydnor. This has to be a strategy to try and gain track position. Surprises me that the 24 is one that's staying out because he was falling back. I would have thought he'd been one of the first to maybe hit pit road, screaming for tires or something. But I guess decided to maybe try and strategize and gain some track position. He's on pit road. And it looks like everybody that stayed out that last time is coming to pit road this time. Yes, they are. Whoa. We almost were having a battle for the race lead right there between D Shears and Steve Morgan. So now we're going to have to see where Garrett Sydnor comes out in relation to all of this. M McIntire just now finishing up his pit stop. He's down and away. Seth Cole also just now completing his pit stop. And I think he might come out ahead of D Shears, unless he had an extended stay on pit road. Sydnor just now leaving pit lane, and the leaders are just now going by him. So I don't think Seth Cole is... I think Seth Cole and potentially M McIntire both may have had lengthy stays on pit road. I think they're coming out ahead of the leader on the tail end of the lead lap. I don't think this is them now cycling to first and second. Battle for second is on. Ashlyn Boyd trying to get back around Steve Morgan and completes the pass. So now we'll have to see if they made any kind of adjustment on that 20, and if so, if he can run down D Shears for the race lead. Now we have the standings now officially back in order after that cycle green flag pit stop. So let's give you a bit of a full field rundown here if we can. D Shears is the race leader. Ashlyn Boyd in second. Steve Morgan third. Fourth, Alex Gray. Fifth place is going to be Garrett Sydnor. Battle is on for sixth. Currently, give it to Jessica Miles. Seventh would be Quentin Moore. 8th place is Mason Wood. 9th is Joshua Osborne, and completing the top 10 currently is Angel Navarro. Cody Lamas currently runs 11th. 12th is Phil Parker. 13th is going to be William Brock. 14th is Diego Yepez. 15th, Charles Jackson. 16th is Zach Flickinger. 17th, Chelsea Bowles. 18th, Scott Roush. 19th is Nathan Hudson, and completing your top 20 would be Justin Tucker. 21st is Chloe Ericsson. 22nd is currently Cole Deaver. 23rd, Jake Rogers. 24th, Ben Braley. 25th, Eli Bright. 26th is Chris Dollerton. 27th, Christian Merrick Jr. 28th is Jay Jefferson. 29th, Mark Davidson. 30th, Kyle Langeland. Caution, I believe, is out. And it is. We got a wreck. Oh, look out. That's Christian Merrick Jr. involved. And who was that other car? That was Scott Roush in the 38. It's our first caution of the day. And it happens just after our green flag pit stops. And right there, I think, is the one guy that did not want to see a yellow flag. Looks like it started maybe with Scott Roush. And it was about mid-pack. So the caution flag will wave for the first time here today, and it's on lap 25. There you see the skid marks right there, and we saw a little bit of the aftermath of the wreck. J Jefferson, Mark Davidson appeared to get a little piece of it. That's going to be a big break for Seth Cole and Matt McIntire, who were just barely on the tail end of the lead lap. A lot of damage on the front of A Baranauskas. Who is that? Is that Scott Roush's 38? Can't tell. I think it is. James Qualls, Aubrey Eisestein back here. Jordan Lopez, I don't think they were involved. Looks like a little bit of damage there on Kyle Langeland. Looks like a buckle on the hood. Looks like the front is pushed in around the grill. He's coming to pit road. Got some left side damage on the Nike Ford of Nathan Hudson. You can see a little bit of damage on that left rear quarter panel. So we got a couple of drivers that I didn't see initially that got involved in this one. Caution waves. We will more than likely restart with around 10 laps to go. D Shears out in front. Let's see what happened. Here's what happened. Scott Roush battling with Justin Tucker, and Tucker lets his car kind of ride off the corner, and as a result gets Scott Roush in the left rear quarter panel, turns him around, and wow, Roush going to hit that steel guardrail pretty good. Comes back up into the 19, nowhere for Nathan Hudson to go. He gets swept up in it. And then it's just almost basically going to block the track up. Everybody trying to avoid, and I don't know who's going to get who. Oh, right there. Yeah, Christian Merrick Jr. is going to sideswipe the 38. Right here is where we saw before, and during live action, J Jefferson gets a piece of it, and then right there is Mark Davidson. There's Kyle Langeland getting involved as he got into the 38, so that's where his damage came from. Just hard racing right there, and I'm actually a little surprised it took place after the pit stops. I would have expected a wreck like that to maybe take place just before pit stops, where the tires are worn down, there's less grip. Maybe with the newer tires, they were colder, so there wasn't as much grip, so they were sliding around that way, but regardless, it brings out the caution for the first time here today, and oh, look out. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, James Qualls just got hooked a little bit there off the bumper. I think I was of Jordan Lopez. And then he went up into the wall, and that's where A Baranauskas gets a piece of it there in the 2 car. But then I think Baranauskas got more damage. Does she run into... Oh, look out. Scott Roush going to get turned again. This time off the nose of Aubrey Eisestein. And that's going to send him around again. Here comes Ryan George. Oh my goodness. Just completely pile drove his own teammate. And then there's where the 2 gets even more damage. This wreck just didn't stop. And then there's James Qualls, and I believe that's Seth Cole coming into view there, and they are able to stop in time. But my goodness. We had a car flipping and barrel rolling here at Rio de Janeiro. You don't normally see that at this track, and yep, he was apparently the car I saw on pit road. So that's what put us under the caution. Let's go back for the restart. Here we go then. It'll be 11 laps to go when we receive the green flag. They will have to deal with a lap car on the inside line, the 78 of Christian Merrick Jr. It's going to be D Shears, Ashlyn Boyd, Steve Morgan, Alex Gray, and Garrett Sitton in the top 5, followed by Jessica Miles, Quentin Moore, Mason Wood, Joshua Osborne, and Cody Llamas. That's your top 10. Green flag back in the air here at Rio. Christian Merrick Jr. one lap down. The driver's out of the race after what we just saw. A Baranauskas, Ryan George, and Scott Roush. They joined Joshua Hyatt in the garage area. 38 cars still running, 37 of them on the lead lap. And like I mentioned, that caution, a big break for a number of drivers like Seth Cole, M McIntire, who were on the tail end of the lead lap and possibly in danger of going a lap down had this thing continued to go green. Said Dougie Shears was probably the one guy that did not want to see that caution, but he fired off pretty well and keeping a pretty good distance, managed currently between himself and Ashton Boyd in this battle for third place, heating up, and the caution's out again! Cautions, breeding cautions. Second caution of the day, and it takes place here during the second half of this race. Can't say I'm surprised. I mean, you're getting down to the closing stages. Every position matters. You're going to probably race a lot more aggressively than you would have in the first half, especially now that you've had your cycle of green flag pit stops. So Dougie Shears is going to have to wind him up and do it again. Mark Davidson, oh, that's not Mark Davidson, that's Jake Rogers in the 16 currently on pit road, and got a lot of damaged cars back here. J Lopes, Justin Tucker, and Daniel Olson. They could very well have been the reason that we have this second caution. I don't know if Jake Rogers was involved in it or not. He just left pit road, and I believe he is still on the lead lap, though. Yes, he is, so that was a very timely caution for him. And it looks like, are the race leaders coming to pit road? No, they're not. Okay, it looked like they were exiting that corner a little low, and I didn't know if that meant they were going to come to pit road or not. But I think they're good to go on fuel, especially with these two cautions that we've had. They should be pretty well set now, fuel-wise, to make it to the end. So let's take a look and see what brought out this second caution of the day here at Rio de Janeiro. I'm not sure what to make of this one. We're looking at the 19 of Justin Tucker. Now, he's all the way back here. Watch what happens. Everybody up here kind of checks up, heading into this corner, and Tucker's not going to. See, everybody starts slowing down, and Tucker says, oh boy, free positions, and never lifts. He gets into the side of M McIntire and then drifts up into J Lopes in the 34. Daniel Olson got through that, although it looked like he had damage when we looked at him before, so I don't know if he gets involved in something else afterwards or not. But that's the second caution and the second wreck that's honestly been triggered by the 19. He is a rookie, but regardless, and I'm not exactly sure how Daniel Olson got damaged. Does he have damage already on that 32? No, not really. Might have been some stack up under caution or something, I don't know. Let's take a look and see if we can find out. Yeah, this is what happened to Olson. This was after the caution had been taken. These drivers were then getting themselves organized into single file for pacing, and right here, James Qualls just turns down into his right rear. Qualls then gets loose, tries to save it, and gets into his right rear again. Just hooks the Alliance Truck Parts Dodge Challenger up and into the tire barriers, and those tire barriers are very unforgiving. They just rip apart the sheet metal, and that's where he got that buckle on the back of his machine. So that's what happened to the 32. Let's get ready to find out how many laps we're going to have left here in this shootout here today at Rio. Nobody out of the race after the incidents that we just saw, and so we still have 38 cars running on the track, 37 on the lead lap. Christian Merrick Jr. will be restarting in single file, merging in with the lead lap cars, since we'll be restarting with less than 10 laps to go. It'll be 6 laps remaining when the leader hits the stripe. It's Dougie Shears out in front, Ashland Boyd in second, Steve Morgan third, Alex Gray fourth, and the top 5 currently completed by the pole sitter G Sydnor. Jessica Miles is in 6th, 7th Quentin Moore, Mason Wood 8th, 9th Joshua Osborne, and Cody Llamas completing the top 10. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of our top 10, only 4 of them are veterans. The other 6 are rookies. The veterans starting 1st, 2nd, 7th, and 9th for this restart. Dougie Shears, he's been good on the restarts, and he's been out front for most of this. Can he lead the last 6 laps? We'll see. with him. Green flag back in the air. D Shears looked like he got a little bit better of a start than the 20 car. Quentin Moore making a move on Jessica Miles. That'd be for 6th place. Shears, a little lower in the entry, a little higher on the exit there through the corner than the 20. Ashlyn Boyd kind of staying with him, but not gaining much. And the caution's out again. 3rd caution of the day. And I think that's going to probably set us up maybe for a green-white checkered. Quentin Moore did complete the pass around Jessica Miles for that 6th position. Look at him 3 wide here coming towards the start-finish line. Cody Llamas, Joshua Osborne, and Diego Yepez were in that battle. Osborne will win out and keep 9th, Llamas in 10th. Something tells me this was near the rear of the field. And that's Chris Dollarton, currently on pit road, along with Cole Deaver. They've got a lot of damage on both their Chevy Camaros. So the yellow flag out once again. With 5 laps to go, Dougie Shears shows the way. Let's see what happened. Well, I saw them back here 3 wide, and they were 3 wide a couple rows deep, and they tried taking all this 3 wide battling into the first corner, and then it kind of settled to double wide, and even then it's kind of hairy, and there was contact first, it looked like, between Chris Dollarton and Mark Davidson, and then the 15 of Cole Deaver runs into the back of the 1, and they both go up into that tire barrier, and like I said, it's so unforgiving, it just rips the sheet metal apart, and both cars end up getting stuck in the tire barrier. So that is a tough break there for both of them. They weren't exactly having the best of days, but it certainly comes to an even worse ending for both of them. Cole Deaver came into this race 20th in the point standings. Chris Dollarton, on the other hand, came in 30th in points, and looks like both of them will be dropping in the standings after disappointing finishes here today at Rio de Janeiro. So that brings our total of 6 drivers behind the wall. Chris Dollarton and Cole Deaver, the most recent retirees. So 36 drivers on the track, 35 on the lead lap, and it'll be a 1-lap shootout to decide this race. I thought maybe we'd have enough laps to be able to have a green-white checkered. So it's basically make or break for Ashlyn Boyd. The last 2 restarts, Dougie Shears has been much better than he has on restarts. This has got to be the restart of the century for the number 20 Toyota. Dougie Shears has dominated this race and wants to lead the most important lap, the last lap, and we'll see if he can do that here in just a mere moment. Battle for Rookie of the Race is currently on as well. 3rd, 4th, 5th place where you find Steve Morgan, Alex Gray, and Benny Watson. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that on this final lap as well. Gray is 3rd in rookie points, Sydnor 5th, Morgan 7th, currently after Daytona. There we go then. 1-lap shootout. Won't matter if a caution comes out. We'll race back to the checkered flag regardless. Dougie Shears fire off once again like he's been able to do the last 2 times. Looks like he certainly did. My goodness, he opened the gap between himself and Ashlyn Boyd. And that could very well be all she wrote right there. Unless Dougie Shears messes himself up, I don't see any way anyone's going to get to his back bumper and challenge him for this win. Ashlyn Boyd trying to recover here, but I think it's too little too late. Diego Yepez trying to crack the top 10. That's for 10th place against Cody Llamas. Trying to get the spot, can't do it yet. Z Flickinger right there with Angel Navarro. That's going on just outside the top 10, but Dougie Shears will come down to the start-finish line, and Dougie Shears will win the Rio 200 at Rio de Janeiro. There was a drag race between Cody Llamas and Diego Yepez for that 10th spot. Give it to the 48. That was a close battle. Dougie Shears, I think he probably led about 38 of these 40 laps, I would say. Well, maybe not quite that many, because he did lose a couple of laps during the green flag pit stop cycles, but somewhere around maybe 35 of the 40 laps, I think, were led by the number 7. A dominating performance, and it'll be his second win of his Pizza Hut X Series career. What a way to kick off the beginning of the season for D Shears. Last week at Daytona, he finished 9th. Here today at Rio, he finishes P1. Big win there for D Shears, a former Snickers Cup Series champion. And the standings are indeed official. Shears will take the win. Ashlyn Boyd will have to settle for second, but a very good performance there for that Toyota Camry. Rookie of the race will be Steve Morgan as he finishes third. Fourth place for Alex Gray, and pole sitter Garrett Sydnor never fell outside the top 5 all day and finishes in the 5th spot. 6th for Quentin Moore, 7th Jessica Miles, 8th Mason Wood, Joshua Osborne in 9th, and as we mentioned, Cody Lamas just barely hung on to that 10th position in that drag race to the start-finish line. Diego Yepez is going to get 11th. Angel Navarro was 12th. Zach Flickinger 13th. 14th for William Brock. Charles Jackson in 15th. And completing the top 20, it was Chloe Ericsson, Ben Braley, Phil Parker, James Shelley, and how about Seth Cole? A nice comeback there after he was just barely on the tail end of the lead lap before that first caution, able to battle back for a top 20 finish. Our Daytona winner last week, and the guy who came in as the points leader, I don't think he'll leave as the points leader, but Ying Canario finishes in the 22nd position. So, not a great outing, but I guess decent considering what it could have been. And you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results here. We had Chelsea Bowles and Nathan Hudson finishing out of the race. I don't know if they got involved in a wreck in the closing stages on that final lap or not. I didn't see the caution flag come out, so that's interesting. Christian Merrick Jr. going to be finishing in the 36th position, 1 lap down, and then 6 drivers finished out of the race due to our 3 cautions today: Chris Dollerton, Cole Deaver, A Baranauskas, Ryan George, Scott Roush, and Joshua Hyatt. So that's going to do it here today from Rio de Janeiro. D Shears with his second career win, first of the season, here today at Rio de Janeiro. Tomorrow, we're going to have the Hershey's Cup Series drivers here at Rio de Janeiro. That should be an exciting race, and we'll have to see if pit strategy plays a key factor in the outcome of that race. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race, though. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We've shown you full finish results. These are your rookie points and your overall points heading into next week's race, where we'll see all 3 series: Trucks, Pizza Hut X Series, and Hershey's Cup Series from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. But till then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.